Hello, friend, and welcome back to episode number 13 of my 31-day challenge, where every day I'm answering your questions about creating a career or a business that you love. And in today's episode, we're going to go straight to the heart of the matter. The question is, can you make money solely from VR? So basically, can you make VR your whole career, your whole business? So we'll be diving into that in this episode. If you've got a question, please feel free to reach out to me and ask on any of the social medias. It's Alex Makes VR. You can send me a longer question at alexmakesvr@gmail.com. And every single day that I'm putting these episodes out, I'm also sending out a newsletter just to remind people that they're live and also give you a bit of a breakdown, just a really short summary of what I talk about in the episode. In bullet point form, I'll have you know as well. So super easy to digest. If you want to sign up to those newsletters, it's www.alexmakesvr.com. So can you make all of your money solely from VR? The simple answer to this is yes, absolutely. I am living proof of that. There are several people that I know and companies that make 100% of their income from VR. Apart from one legacy client who was actually my first ever paying freelance client in 2012, apart from one client that I do a job for every 2 years because she runs an event. Apart from that one client, 100% of my income has come from VR since 2017. So 2.5 years? 2017, 2018, 2019. Well, no, 3.5 years. God, I'm really bad at maths. Maybe you shouldn't be coming to me for business advice. So I've been making my money solely from VR since then. Now, when I'm digging a little bit deeper, because literally the answer is yes. Like, that's the simple answer to this question. But the subtext of this question I'm sensing is, can you make your money solely from VR doing what you want to do? And I could be wrong, but I'm imagining that's what most people are thinking. I received an email probably day 2 of the podcast going live, and it was someone reaching out with an artistic, well, I'm not sure whether they had an artistic background or whether they just kind of always wanted to get into the arts world, but specifically they were asking about whether or not it was possible to get into 360 specifically in the arts sector, and whether or not that would be sustainable or not. And the answer to that is probably not, no. I mean, yes, if your expenses are low enough and you're not looking to make lots of money and you are willing to kind of like hustle and you're okay with rejection, because there will be a lot of it, and you're okay with working with very small budgets, and that's just the realities of working with that sector. And I know, like, because I do work with artists and I do work in that sector, but I don't work in it 100% of the time, and that's because I know too many people that just kind of like play into that starving artist narrative. And I just don't think that there's a need for it. Like, don't get me wrong. If you're the kind of person that's like a die-hard artist, and it's just like you were born like to do your own thing, and, you just can't bear the idea of, selling your soul to the corporate machine and doing a 360 training program for someone because, I've got to make my art, man. Well, firstly, I would say this podcast is probably not for you. But also, I think, well, there are ways for you to make money doing that, but solely from VR, probably not, no. Whereas if you are the kind of person that wants to make your own projects, but ultimately, coming back to episode 1, you just want to work for yourself, doing something that you quite enjoy. And, you quite want to like work in the VR industry because you believe in the technology, you believe where it's going. You're excited by it. You're excited about discovering new things. You're excited by the challenges that come with the new technology. You're excited by the fact that every single year you have to learn a goddamn new workflow because there's some new tech that comes out that breaks everything that you just spent a year like perfecting, and you have to go around all your clients telling them how to do it as well. And just as you've got the rhythm down and the pricing right and everything, something comes in, it changes it, and it changes everything, you know? So I personally, I mean, don't get me wrong, I absolutely have a love-hate relationship with immersive tech in general, just because of that, because sometimes it's, you know, sometimes it's like a teenager where you love them so much, but sometimes they just drive you mad. And I know because I have been that teenager that's driven my parents mad. So yeah, I think you can make your money solely from VR, but you will probably have to succumb to the fact that not 100% of your income is going to come from 100% of things that you want to do all the time. When I first started in VR, I'm trying to think, I think the majority of my income came from being an extra resource in someone else's production. So I would come in as maybe the 360 camera operator, or I'd come in as the, doing the post-production, or I'd come in as a director. I mean, to be fair, I didn't do that many projects where I wasn't just the person that did everything. I don't think. I did a lot of shoots where I was kind of like the producer director and kind of was a cog in someone else's machine though. Like, what I'm trying to say is, when I first started, I was mainly being brought in by creative agencies and other production companies that had won work but didn't necessarily know how to deliver these kind of projects. So I would be kind of slotted into an already established project. Then I started to kind of take on projects where I was much more involved from the very beginning, and I was working directly with clients. So rather than being the last in the kind of giant creative agency food chain, which is often the case when you work that way, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, you can absolutely do that, but I started working directly with clients, which meant that I was way more involved with the project from the very beginning. I helped shape the vision of it, and I would see it all the way through. I would help negotiate the budgets. Well, not even help, I would be the one negotiating the budgets. I would take control of the whole thing. So I think it really depends on how you like to work, because you can make your money solely from VR in either way, being a freelancer or a contractor that slots into someone else's projects, or being someone that reaches out and does your own thing. But if the question is, can you make money solely from VR doing exactly what you want all the time? Probably not. There's a very small amount of people that can do that, and generally speaking, I would probably put money on the fact that they are all in the game industry. Like if you look at someone like Beat Saber and their game studio, and I don't know much about them, so I could be wrong, but they had Beat Saber, they built that up, and then they just recently sold to Facebook. So I mean, I don't know, because they might have been, I don't know whether they were angel funded and kind of went the venture capital route. I don't know whether they just, they were just doing client work on the side to kind of fund Beat Saber, but they just don't really talk about that. I'm not sure. No one really knows. The one thing I'm always super honest about is the fact that I use commercial work to fund the majority of my life, so that I can do the original projects that I want. Yeah, of course, we all want to be in a scenario where one day you get paid 100% of your income to do 100% of the things you want to do. Right now, though, like in the other episode when I was talking about, can you... I can't remember what the question was, but I think it was something around can you make money just with your VR originals? Oh no, it was how do you make money with your VR originals? The answer is it is quite difficult. So it's not impossible, but it comes down to what kind of life do you want and how much money do you need, because chances are, unless you're not young, free and single, with, not very high standards in terms of if you can live off a tiny amount of money every month, to do what you love, then absolutely do it. And there will, where there's a will, there's a way. But if you're someone that's just interested in getting into 360 or VR, and you want to keep it as like more of a passion project, you want to keep it as more of a, slow and steady build, then maybe you should carry on maybe you should have it as a side hustle. Maybe you should kind of keep your current thing, whether that is freelance editing or traditional filmmaking, or, if you're a programmer, whatever that is, like, I think you just have to make the decision about whether or not you do want to commit and go all in on VR, because the truth is it's hard. It is hard because you've got all these barriers that stand in the way before you can sell a VR service or product, and that's because people don't understand it. So, you could, to be fair, I'm assuming if you're listening to this, you're not necessarily looking for a full-time job, but if you wanted, you could just outreach to every single VR studio or production company in the place that you live. Obviously, there's not many of them versus a traditional production company, but you could just get a job. You could just like go in house with someone. But I'm guessing the majority of you listening don't want that. You want to probably like work on your own stuff, and so I would say that you should probably do the Google principle of like 80-20 to begin with. So this is kind of still how I operate a little bit. I've shifted in the last kind of year, but realistically, for the majority of my career in VR so far, I kind of did the 80-20 thing, right? And for those of you who don't know what that is, at Google, they have it so that 80% of the time you're working on the stuff that is like the bread and butter stuff, the stuff that you have to do, the practical stuff. So if you're a 360 creator, that could be 80% of the time you are getting those 360 virtual tour clients, you're getting those 360 training projects in, you're outreaching, like you're kind of like doing 360 stock footage, whatever it is that's like paying the bills. And then 20% of the time you're maybe you like connect with dancers or an art studio, or doing like something that's a bit more in line with where you eventually want to go. Like that could be something that you do, and maybe you still make money that way. You can still make money through that avenue, but then it takes the pressure off it having to cover 100% of your revenue. So those are just kind of like my thoughts. But the answer is yes. But ultimately as well, what it comes down to is, are you good at making money full stop? A lot of the information that I'm giving in this podcast is super applicable to any single creative industry. You've probably already noticed that. The things that I'm saying, yes, obviously I'm specializing them to VR, and I'm being specific because that is the industry that I work in, and that's what I'm assuming you're interested in if you found me. But the principles of business and marketing, and the principles of selling, and the principles of communication and networking, and all of the things that are important, they translate over to all different industries. So the truth is that if you want to make money from anything, but specifically if you want to make money from VR, you just have to be good at making money, full stop. You have to be good at outreach. You have to be good at knowing kind of your kind of like your business plan, your goals, your business goals. How much money do you need to make? How many clients do you need to reach out to? What kind of things, what kind of projects, what kind of sector, what kind of industry do you want to work in? And if you're going down the product route, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So the other thing you have to think about is, if you want to go more like down the product route rather than services, well, then you're going to have to look at more of like a Silicon Valley model of like bootstrapping and, potentially looking into investment. Although, yeah, I've been down that road and I wouldn't necessarily recommend it unless you're really, really committed to it, because it's a bit of a savage industry, to be honest. But there's resources like in England we've got Digital Catapult, who put on the Augmenta Accelerator. I was part of that in 2018. Fantastic accelerator program. for those who don't know the story, kind of went down the road of like getting investment for an interactive 360 editing platform, software that my brother and I had built, and then realised actually like that is not the kind of business I want to build. I don't want to be committed to not even pay back investors, because that's not how it works, but I didn't want to be committed to building a product because I am a bleeding heart creative. And I love doing stuff like this. But anyway, so if that's something that you're interested, maybe look at accelerator programs like that one. Maybe look at if you're kind of like a freelancer, or if you're like, you like doing the technical part of things, but you're not very good at the selling part. Maybe look to team up with someone who is good at that part. Maybe look to partner with someone who's got a proven track record in marketing or sales. So there's ways around it, but the answer is, if you want to make money solely from VR, it's not necessarily going to be easy. For now, I feel like in 5 years' time, maybe VR and AR services will be as common as, well, maybe not as common as traditional video, but it will be way more common. And actually, I think that if Apple, like they're rumoured to, if they do release these Apple glasses in the next couple of years, there will be a massive boom in people looking at the immersive industry and wanting those services. So the question is, are you going to be in a position to capitalise on that? Are you going to put in the work now so that you can be one of those people that when someone Googles, I need a AR developer that specialises in this, yours is the name that comes up, that kind of thing. So, okay, those are my general thoughts. I'd be curious to hear if you've got any follow-up to that. And obviously that's a big, broad question, like, can you make money solely from VR? So if you are someone that has like I want to make money from VR in this specific niche, if you've got like questions around that, then reach out. Let me know. If you've got any other questions as well, reach out to me, Alex Makes VR on Instagram and Twitter. Reach out on email, alexmakesvr@gmail.com. If you want to be reminded every day when these episodes go live, I put out a daily newsletter. alexmakesvr.com is the address where you can sign up for it. And with that said, I will see you tomorrow.